Hi there, my name's Alex, and on this video I'm going to be discussing my pensions. This is part of the series of my plan to retire early. I will point out that I am not qualified in financial advice whatsoever. This is purely my own experience, and I would suggest to you very strongly that you do your own research. You don't use this video for research. It is purely my own experience and my own opinions. There are qualified financial advisors that have YouTube channels that you can find, but also seek your own financial advice. Let's get started. So I'm going to talk first of all about my defined contribution pension with Moneybox. I did a video a week or so ago that discussed this, but since then I've had a bit more of a play around on that app, so I've got some more updated figures for you. If you'll hear about the defined benefit pension, I would suggest fast forwarding to I'll put the timestamp on the video so you can fast forward to that if you're just here for the defined benefit pension. But I'll start off with the defined contribution pension. So I have got a pension with Moneybox, and it didn't start its life off with Moneybox. I had multiple pension pots that I'd accrued through different companies that I'd worked for in the past. So I started full-time employment when I was 18, and I took out a pension with my employer at the time. I've worked for, I can't even remember offhand, but at least 4 or 5 different private companies, and they've all had different pension pots and providers that they've set up for me when I've joined their company. And I've paid in, and I used to pay in through employer salary sacrifice, employer contributions that way. So they would take a percentage from my salary and pay to the pension provider, and they would either match it or pay whatever the required percentage is. And I think for the last 5 or 6 years that's actually been a legal requirement that a pension provider has to provide you with if you're in their employment. In the UK this is. So what I did was I set up an account with Moneybox back in November 2024. I got all my pension paperwork together that I had from various different providers. It all had different pension numbers on, and I said to Moneybox, I want to transfer these particular pensions in. I also noticed on that app that they have like a search feature that you can go and say that you worked for a particular company, and they will suggest what pension scheme you may have had. It's then up to you to go to that pension provider and ask them if you had a pension with them. They'll give you like contact details, maybe an email address, phone number, and it's fairly simple. You just have to provide your name, national insurance number, date of birth. Some may ask for previous addresses, but it's worth doing. A lot of people may not, years and years ago, probably don't have paperwork from employment that they had years and years ago, or you may not have even known that you had a pension. So I think it definitely worth doing that. I think there's others, certainly other providers probably have their own search feature, but I think there must be a government site that you could probably go on and do a search, but it's worth looking into. I don't know the details of that. I mean, I can only tell you what I found with Moneybox. So I went on, did that, got my pension pot all transferred in together. So in my Moneybox pot, I combined and transferred in a total, and I'll give this in pounds and in dollars, so just in case I've got any US watchers. So in pounds, that was £26,776.29, which is equal to $36,273.84. So this is back in November 2024. And since then, I have contributed between £1 and £2 a week since then, and that is now worth £29,264.82, which is equivalent to $39,653.83. And I've since, and literally only in the last week, started to increase my contribution to £5 per week, which is equivalent to $6.77. What I should add is that I will get tax relief added to my pension pot as well. So every time I contribute £5, the government will pay in tax relief into my pension. I mean, it takes something like 6 weeks to go into my pot, so my pot will increase more with that, but also it's invested. So I've actually got it invested in the Fidelity Index World Fund P accumulation account. Fund, not account. Accumulation fund. So it will compound and grow throughout the years, and hopefully I'll be able to increase my contribution from £5, hopefully, and hopefully you'll be able to follow along my investing journey with me, so you'll be able to see how that hopefully grows. I mean, there's no guarantee of growth. Obviously the stock market goes up and down, but the hope is it will grow. What I should say is, for any potential US viewers, the defined contribution pension, I believe, is equivalent to a 401k in the US. So when I'm talking about this, hopefully you can relate it to that. I found on the Moneybox app that there is a way of getting a forecast for future. So I've got some figures here based on different retirement ages, and it is based on me staying in the same fund that I'm currently invested in, and if I was just to contribute £5 a week, or the equivalent of $6.77. So if I get to age 58, it's forecasting that my pot should be worth £93,200, which is equivalent to $126,258.04. And that would give me a yearly income of £6,700, which is equivalent to $9,076.49 if I started to take my pot at age 58. If I waited till the current state pension age, which is currently for me set at age 68, my pot could be worth £150,000, which is equivalent to $203,205, which would give me a income of £15,300 per year, or $20,726.91. Or don't forget, if I wait until I'm 68, potentially I could be entitled to state pension if it's still there. So that's as it stands. I'll probably update you. I don't know whether it's worth doing monthly updates on this, because I am only contributing £5 a week. Let me know in the comments if you want to know. I'm happy to do a video once a month if you want to see how that increases. And up next, I'm going to talk about my defined benefit pension. So my defined benefit pension, I have worked for the civil service now for 3 years. It's literally my 3-year anniversary right now. I am going to strongly suggest anyone that is in a defined benefit pension, if you're thinking of moving it away anywhere else, please seek financial advice. There are specialist advisors that you need to find that are qualified to talk with you about defined benefit pensions, because they are so different. And I mean, I've had to write down on my notebook here what the scheme details are, and every defined benefit pension, I believe, is different. Usually it's public sector workers that get defined benefit pensions, so the NHS pension scheme will be different to this. If you work in the police, it will be different. Fire brigade, I imagine, have the same have a defined benefit pension. I don't know, that's thrown me a bit. I'm not sure. If you're a fireman, let me know. Do you have a defined benefit scheme? But where I work, we have got what's called the Alpha. I'm in the Alpha scheme, it's called. So I joined in August 2022, and the figures that I'm going to discuss with you were calculated on the 31st of March. So if you it hadn't even taken in like a whole year's salary at this point. And before I go into the figures, I'll tell you, so that I'm sorry, I'm going to be reading off the page here. Alpha is a career average scheme. Each year you are an active member of the scheme. You build up a pension amount of pension worth 2.32% of pensionable earnings. And it says here, pensionable earnings are your actual salary and any pensionable allowances and bonuses paid to you. So that's like the what it means by that. Benefits are payable from the Alpha scheme at normal pension age, which is the same as the state pension age. So for me, that would be age 68. So if you're watching in the US, I believe a defined benefit scheme is equivalent to what you would call a pension. So I believe like your public sector workers get that. I mean, I only have a few sources to go off where I've heard that term being used. Anyway, so like I was saying, so I joined the scheme in August of 2022, and it was calculated on the 31st of March, and all these calculations were calculated on the 31st of March that I'm getting from my statement. So my first statement I had in August 2023, it said that my pension was worth £469, and that is equivalent to $635.35. Then in year 2, so August of 2024, I had this statement. So remember, it would have been calculated on the 31st of March 2024. My pension was then worth £1,313, which is equivalent to $1,778.72. And then my most recent statement, so August 2025, remember it was calculated on the 31st of March 25, was worth £2,123, and that is equivalent to $2,876.03. So I believe that the figures, that would be what my annual pension is, not just the whole pot. I think I'd be entitled currently to £2,123 annually. Don't quote me, I don't know. I probably need to do a lot more research on this pension, because I need to know, don't I, for my plans. But I did find like a forecasting tool on their website, and it's called the Pension Modeler, and I've done a few calculations here. So the first one that I've got is if I was to stay employed where I am and stay with them till age 68 and stay on my current salary, no increases whatsoever, my monthly pension paid to me would be £1,509 monthly, and that's equivalent to £2,044 $1,058.08. That works out annually to be £18,103 or $24,522.14. So not only would I get a monthly or annual income, depending on what I choose, I'd also get some what they call tax-free cash. That would be £120,684, which is equivalent to $163,477.34. Now, if I choose not to take that tax-free cash lump sum, that would change the figures again. So I could take a monthly income of £2,347, which is equivalent to $3,178.35, which works out annually to be £28,160, which is equivalent to $38,165.54. So combine that with my income that I could be getting from my defined contribution pension, I feel I could retire well. At the age of 68. I've then got some figures here. I didn't bother doing figures for age 58 because I can't take it, so I probably would have to look at bridging the gap between age 58 and 68, so I could potentially take my defined contribution pension as long as bridge the gap for those 10 years until I could take my defined benefit pension. I need to look into that a lot more, so I don't have figures here for that. But what I do have here is if my salary were to increase by 2% a year and I was to retire at age 68, my income from the pension would go up to £1,591 per month, which is equivalent to $2,155.05. Annually, that works out to be £19,093, which is $25,884.17. And that's also taking a lump sum of £127,290, which is equivalent to $172,531.13. My plan is, so I currently have a shared ownership house. I own 40% of that. Not outright, I've got a mortgage on it. 60% I have to pay rent to the housing association. My mortgage I've currently got runs until I'm age 55, so if I stay in the situation that I'm in, I've got 20 years to go still, so who knows the future. If I stay in the current situation that I'm in, I will be mortgage free. I'll still have rent to pay, and it increases all the time depending on the housing association and what they determine it to be. I'll have to dig out my paperwork, and that'll be another video for another time. But I feel with the figures that I've quoted to you, at least by the age of 68 anyway, I could be living quite well. I'd be retiring on slightly less than what my current income is, but again, I wouldn't have a mortgage payment, it's not huge. I didn't take out a big mortgage. It's one less bill that I'd have to pay. So we'll see. I hope you've found this pensions it's a bit of a dry subject, but it's something that everyone should know about because it's how you are going to retire. They should teach more about this in schools. I don't know what the curriculum is now. I don't remember it being in schools. We did what was called PHSE, which is I can't remember what the acronym stands for, but it was meant to cover things like bank accounts, credit cards, interest rates. I don't remember anything on pensions whatsoever. And people like Martin Lewis, I think, are doing a really good job of trying to get more financial education into schools. And that's a whole other discussion. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked the video, and I hope you would consider liking and subscribing. Thank you. Bye.